an overview of cancer, and we'll discuss about some concepts and terms which are related to cancer. First, let us discuss the definition of the word cancer, which is a malignant growth that is characterized by a continuous, purposeless, unwanted, damaging growth of the cells. The word cancer itself is derived from Latin, meaning that it is a crab. The structure of a cancerous cell resembles a crab which spreads out to its surrounding. Let us move on and discuss the different terms and concepts related to cancer. One such term is proto-oncogenes and another is tumor suppressor genes. Let us understand about proto-oncogenes. Proto-oncogenes are very normally present in all of our body. These proto-oncogenes are those which are very important for the cell proliferation, and these proto-oncogenes mediates the cell to enter into the cell cycle and divide. It produces daughter cells or many other cells. So proto-oncogenes are very important for the growth of the cells and also for the multiplication of the cells. These proto-oncogenes have a problem wherein if there is a mutation in the DNA or if there is a change which is going to happen with itself, a proto-oncogene is converted to an oncogene. An oncogene actually works with a gain of function. Oncogenes can be compared to a wicked villain as these oncogenes becomes hyperactive. Proto-oncogenes can be compared to an innocent hero as they perform the function normally. So normally a cell has to divide and produce more cells mediated by proto-oncogenes, which is quite normal in our body. But due to the change which is going to happen within the proto-oncogenes, these are converted to oncogenes which are now becoming hyperactive. Let us understand the opposite word which is called as a tumor suppressor gene. Now these tumor suppressor genes are those which are able to prevent our body from cancer or tumor. These tumor suppressor genes are those which are introduced by the concept of Knudsen, which we call it as a two-hit hypothesis. Means that tumor suppressor genes are occurring in the form of alleles. Now these alleles are the alternative form of the genes, meaning that if one allele is mutated, still the other will be able to perform its function. As you see in this diagram, this is called as a two-hit hypothesis. As I told you, it was introduced by Knudsen. If one allele is mutated, it undergoes a loss of function, but still the other tumor suppressor gene will be able to perform its function. But if both the alleles are mutated, then it results in the loss of function, wherein the tumor suppressor genes are suppressed with their function. So the tumor suppressor genes works with the loss of function, but it is a concept of two-hit hypothesis, wherein both alleles have to be mutated. We can compare tumor suppressor genes with a Superman as it prevents our body from tumor. So oncogenes are those which works with gain of function. A proto-oncogene undergoes some kind of mutation and it attains more function and becomes hyperactive to perform as oncogenes. Wherein tumor suppressor genes, unfortunately, by the concept of two-hit hypothesis, if both the alleles are mutated, they are not able to perform its function in preventing the cancer. Now the examples of tumor suppressor genes is P53 and MYC. There are so many other examples. I have just shown you P53 and MYC here. Now moving on to another important term which we call it as apoptosis. Now this apoptosis is known as a programmed cell death or cell suicide. It is a process which prevents our cells to divide continuously. So if there is a damage which is happening in our body, if there is a mutation, for example, the DNA repair mechanisms try to rectify the mutation. But even after the DNA repair mechanisms, still there are damages, then undergoes apoptosis. So apoptosis is making the cell to die. It is also called as cell suicide. As depicted in this figure, you could actually see that apoptosis is related to evolution as well. For example, if you take our fingers, it was believed that many years before there were tissues or cells which are connecting between our fingers. Now, because of apoptosis, through the mechanism of evolution, all the tissues or the cells are removed through the process of apoptosis so that we are able to move our fingers flexibly. Now, this apoptosis process not only happens in our body to prevent tumor, but also it happens for preventing the infection of the cells. If a bacteria is infecting our cells, to prevent the infection of the bacteria to the nearby cells, apoptosis happens, making the cells to die. The mechanism of apoptosis is of two types. One is the intrinsic mechanism and another one is the extrinsic mechanism. The intrinsic mechanism of apoptosis happens due to some changes which are happening inside the cells. If there is a damage inside the cell, mitochondria, which is called as the powerhouse of the cell, initiates the intrinsic mechanism of apoptosis. Extrinsic pathway is happening due to some changes which are going to happen outside the cell. For example, a ligand or a signaling molecule like Fas is going to bind to the specific receptors of the cells, which are known as the death domain receptors, and carry out the mechanism of extrinsic pathway. Moving on, we will understand the process of cell proliferation. Now, the cell proliferation is the cells which are going to divide for the growth and the development. So one cell divide into two and then to many other cells as well. Now there are many different types of cells which frequently die and new cells are produced. Examples are the blood cells, the skin cells, the cells of our windpipe, which are in the passage of our lungs. All these are going to frequently die and new cells are going to produce. There are more possibilities of cancer or tumor or an error which is going to happen with those cells or the specific tissues which frequently die and produce new cells. Let us discuss about all these in the next class. Thank you.